Inside the Classroom takes an in-depth look at one of Team Hardin County Schools' best teachers in action, featuring comments, class instruction, and insight inside the classroom.
I became a teacher, I guess it's a cliche reason. I enjoy the feeling of helping others. I like helping them realize their potential and realize that they can do something that they weren't aware that they could do. I also am an avid learner. I love learning. I could probably go to school forever and be fine with that. So I want to impart that love of learning on my students or to my students. And I just enjoy that camaraderie that we build with that.
If you need help, because some of you all, contentment was a hard word for you all yesterday, that state of being content, or what's a synonym? Happy, satisfied, right? That was a hard one. If you hit one of those vocabulary words that you don't know, your first line of defense for help is your partner. If your partner doesn't know, then you go to your book. Okay? Then, and I didn't put this up here, if all else fails and your partner doesn't know, then you can ask me. Raise your hand. Okay, and I will come help. Yes, ma'am?
Can we pause our screen test by video to ask our partner?
Does it allow you to with the free version?
Yes.
Yes, that would be fine. Okay. We are only spending...
25 minutes.
No. We are spending... Yeah, it will only allow you to record for 10. If you mess up, don't restart. Okay, I know some of us have been doing that, so let's get out of that habit. If you mess up, don't restart. We'll take 15 minutes. That way you have time to get started, find a seat and everything.
There were a lot of teachers along the way that I had who inspired me to want to become a teacher, but the standout person, I suppose, was one of my high school math teachers, Ms Mitchum. I had her for algebra and Algebra 1, and she loved math, and it showed in the way that she taught. And she tried to get us excited about math. And during those classes, she would allow us opportunities to help one another. And I learned, and I didn't even realize it then, during her math classes, how to help others, how to figure out what they don't know and draw from their strengths to help them feel confident. And her excitement for math just radiated throughout our classroom, and it was contagious.
Ready? If he's that rich to buy like a ton of toys and have a house and stuff, surely he'll have it. Yeah, for the huge house. Speaking of his house, maybe he has a huge stove. Yesterday I was drinking hot chocolate the first time outside. Yeah, I'm also seeing Jack Frost. I don't think Jack Frost is mature enough. Yeah, Betty the Elf is not mature either. When she does that, she might be detecting something like a mice. Yeah. Have you ever been ice fishing? Never in my life.
In the lesson you're going to see today, I'm doing reading class, and we will start with our spelling. The kids are going to have to sort their words into their different categories based on their ending spellings. And then you're going to see a vocabulary activity that the kids love. It's called Word Sneak. Just practicing their vocabulary for the week with this story that we're doing. And it's a Jimmy Fallon-esque vocabulary activity. So you will see that, and then we are going to end with differentiated groups. Each group will have a passage that they are practicing our anchor skill this week for, which is main idea and details, and the passage is appropriate for each group.
So I said when I drink hot chocolate, I lay in my bed and there's a teddy bear beside me.
Really? So you could say, yeah, I was laying on the couch with my teddy bear, and Mom had the news on, and it was talking about all the election stuff, and it showed us who our new senator was.
I thought I was saying, like, you know, it'd be funny. I just thought of this. You know, it'd be funny if sentences are sentences. I mean, sentences.
There you go. That's perfect. That's good.
Ms Wyatt makes learning fun by videos, Kahoot, Grudge Ball, which is things that we do for reviews, and the way that we go over things in class is just, she makes learning fun like that. Playing with the flower. Playing with my Barbies. Yeah.
Really? Ours just wants to make sure that Emma will actually work on getting herself dressed in the morning without me having to do it because she throws a fit. And Santa sent a video to Emma this morning that said that he knew that she was working on getting dressed by herself. She pouted. She didn't like that. She doesn't want to work on that. But since Santa's watching,
She's going to.
yeah. She huffs when she does it, but she does it.
Ms Wyatt, she always has a fun activity to do in our class. Like yesterday in social studies, she made us do predictions about what would happen next in one of our stories.
Go ahead and pause where you're at. Save the video and add it to the assignment so that I can check and see if you know how to use the words. Return to your seat so we can go do the next activity.
My favorite thing in Ms Wyatt's classroom is probably reading, because we have a rotation where we have 3 groups. We can go to her group or another group or another group. And there are different activities we can do at those groups.
Who knows what our anchor skill is this week? What is that thing that we're working on identifying as we read? What is it, Avery?
Main idea.
Main idea and the details that support them, right? So as we read text, especially informational text and opinion text, all of those expository texts, they're organized just like in our writing class, with our topic sentences. They have main ideas, and sections have main ideas. But all of those main ideas, they can't stand on their own, right? They have to have details that hold them up. So we've been looking and working on that through our answering our questions and practicing Run the Race with Cougars, our anchor text. But I kind of need to see if you all can do it in something that we've not read together and talked about together. I need to see if you can apply that skill. So today what we're doing, each of your reading groups has a different passage assigned to you. They are in the reading classroom, so you just have to look, like Group 3, passage and questions, Group 2, passage and questions, Group 1, passage and questions.
My favorite thing to do in Ms Wyatt's class is social studies, because she always makes it fun.
Today we're going to focus on reading and reading fluently, because we want to do that. If we read fluently, we actually understand what we're reading. So I'm going to put you in your groups, and I'm going to have you all sit around the room, and you're going to open your passage for today, and you're going to read it. Now I'm going to allow you to choose in your groups. We're going to try. If we argue, then who has to intervene? Ms. Wyatt. And you all get to decide if you want to read it aloud, if you want to take turns reading aloud, if you want 1 or 2 people to read it aloud, if you all want to read it individually and then talk, if you want to buddy read it and then talk. Your group gets to choose how you go about this.
Some of the best practices I use are basing my instruction on formative assessment. I use lots of questioning techniques, higher order questions, and ways for the students to respond so that I get a feel for what they know, what they still need to know. I do, with reading and spelling instructions, sorts are a good best practice, so that's something that I use. We use differentiated learning through technology, through learning intelligences, and just the different modes of learning. I use cooperative learning, some of the Kagan strategies that we're starting to use now. Lots of different best practices.
Your objective, your goal, the thing that you're doing, let me write it over here, is reading, and then you have to discuss the main ideas throughout the passage, trying to identify the most important details. All right? So is it going to get a little noisy since we're going to have different amounts of people reading? Yes. So I can't put a conversation level, because if you take turns reading, then that one person reading has to read it like a 2 so your group can hear them. But if you're buddy reading, what's your voice level? A 1. So I'm going to put one of our vocabulary words our conversation level will vary, okay? Movement allowed, you don't need to sharpen your pencil, you're just reading, so you need to use flashy fingers if you need to do anything. And this is, technically my word should be varies, not vary. Participation varies as well, but it will end up as a group discussion. And our skill is I can determine main ideas and supporting details.
My favorite activity in her class is probably social studies. Not because that's just my favorite thing, but I know she doesn't really like it sometimes, but when we do social studies, we usually watch videos and take notes, and I've always just loved social studies, and the way she teaches it just is really good.
The first thing you do is discuss how you're going to read this. Then you read it and come together as a group to discuss the main idea and details. I'm going to be popping around to each group to listen in and see if you're on the right track.
My favorite thing to do in Ms. Wyatt's class is social studies because in social studies, she always has something fun to go with that activity, like watching a video.
Or conceal itself by changing its appearance, helps the creature hide from predators and curious museum goers.
These lively lizards and sleepy snakes are part of a diverse group of reptiles called squirmates. Squirmate comes from a Latin word for scale.
Ms. Wyatt is an effective teacher because of her personal contact with the students. She is unique to the profession because the beginning of the school year, she identifies her students and then she seeks their personal interest, not only with the child or her student, but she makes that personal contact with her parents. She sets up different ways that they can be in touch with one another. She has blogs. She has a Twitter account. Her classroom is an innovative technology classroom. They do not work from textbooks, but they work from their Chromebooks. This is something that she sought from getting a grant together and receiving that grant. It's not something that all classrooms have, but she felt that she wanted her classroom to be a technology-driven classroom. She is a Google certified teacher. She has sought that certification as well. But I think the reason that Ms. Wyatt has been nominated for this recognition is because of her personal connection with her students. She goes far beyond just the classroom teacher. She can tell you information about the children. The children realize this. They can make that connection with her. She has a rapport with them that they're comfortable in going to her for not only instructional practices, but for personal practices and personal situations as well. But she also does this with the families. So there's a connection far beyond the classroom. And I believe that's why when you look back at the students that she's had, they remember what she's taught, but they mostly remember the time and the effort that she has put in with them personally. And that's why Ms. Wyatt is being recommended for this recognition.
Along with snakes and lizards, this group includes iguanas, geckos, and Gila monsters. These squirmates have characteristics with other reptiles such as turtles.
She encourages me because she always pushes me to the next level. Even when I think I can't go to the next level, she tries really hard to make it easier for everybody. So, and especially in writing, because this morning we were finishing our writing things, and I had no idea how to start some of my paragraphs. Well, she encouraged me to be able to start them by saying certain things like, oh, well, if you want it to be about this, think about what your topic is. She just wanted to try really hard to make sure the topic and everything, like she just tried to encourage me to make it easier.
Since the first paragraph is the intro and it's about an archaeologist, and this team finds the burial chamber.
Ms Wyatt encourages me because she walks around the classroom, and if you need help, she'll come to you and she'll encourage you to keep going and keep trying.
Yeah, it's a burial chamber, so it's
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying.
100 years? It's a burial chamber.
So, like, are they gonna, the archaeologists, are they gonna go find the bodies and open the tomb?
No.
She encourages us by pushing us to work harder.
It says this, one of the coffins has the features of a woman with black hair, dark-lined eyes, and a gold necklace.
So they had to open it to see
Yeah, because that's detail.
Yeah, they had to.
Golden necklace?
It's a woman. How would it be golden?
She encourages me by helping when we are stuck on something. She pushes us to try harder and harder to get where we need to be.
Well, I don't think gold rests, actually. Yeah. I don't think it rests. Right here it says archaeologists suspect that the tomb is about 3,000 years old. Scientists will study the coffins to determine the mummy's identities and social status.
I feel like I'll remember her because when we are like in high school and stuff, and they say a certain quote or they laugh a certain way, that certain laugh or something will make me remember her.
No, like it means how popular they were in the Egyptian world. Like they were a queen, or if they were pharaohs. Like a peasant, yeah, or pharaoh.
Jack Sparrow.
My greatest joys in the classroom are the moments that I connect with my students. Sometimes those connections are over learning, but not always, and probably not even most often. That connection that I feel whenever I know that they feel appreciated, that they feel that someone cares what's going on in their life and what they need, that brings me joy. And that translates into the learning moments that are typical for every teacher to enjoy, those enjoyable moments when they finally get something because they were able to connect with me and connect with our content, and it's a great feeling of satisfaction.
It's about the Amazon rainforest.
With her training that she has received, not only in the technology area, but in the writing area also. She is a leader within our school. She is on the writing committee. She has volunteered her time to teach Google training to our staff so that we can utilize the Google Docs, Google Forms, Google Sheets in preparing instructional material and in preparing evaluations. So she's a leader within our school. She's on our site-based council. So she's well thought of, and the staff has confidence in her abilities. And it's not a know-it-all type of personality, but it's just a comforting knowing that she will stand up for what the staff needs, and she'll look for what they need to have in place for their instruction of their classrooms.
It's about the Amazon rainforest, and it says how important it is.
Okay, now so stop. All of you need to find details. If Mason says that it's about how important the rainforest is, what details in the passage? You need to quote accurately from the text. What details support that? Talk.
I will probably remember Ms. Wyatt later, not just because my mom teaches across the hall from her, but also because she's a great teacher. She tries really hard to be a good teacher, and she does everything amazing. So I'll probably remember her for that, and because she always has a quote for something. So I'll probably remember that with, like, we're talking about quotes in middle school or high school, and I'll be like, oh, I remember that Ms. Wyatt said that quote all the time. So she'll remind me by that.
Because it says the tropical rainforest, that's what it says in the world.
Yeah, and it says it's the largest in the world.
Does that support that it's important?
No, it says that it gives us the largest.
I think I'll remember her
because she's just always fun. She's always bouncy and happy and makes all these jokes and everything.
I'll always remember Ms Wyatt because she's nice and I'll always enjoy being in her class.
Talking about the Amazon and all of the spices and medicines.
Teachers are important today. There's a quote that says that we create other professions. Without us, kids would never have, or most kids, many kids, would never develop that love of learning or realize that there is so much to learn. Teachers are some of the first people who help some students realize that they can be anything, that what they want is within reach as long as they work to get it. Many people that I talk to who inspires them, who is someone who has had an impact on their life, they recall a teacher because it's our job to help mold them. We spend so much time with them during the school year. We mold these individuals and shape them and help them become citizens that will one day run our society. So if the teachers are not solid and not using best practices and are not doing their job, there's no hope.